Hi everybody, welcome to my video today, you guys. This is either week 3 or 4 of 8 weeks of Halloween. I missed getting things posted last week, so I'm posting 2 this week. And really quickly, you guys, I'm having some technical difficulties. I am ditching iMovie for my Mac because it continues to just crash every single time I try to do something. And I'm having to search for a new editing program. And so things are a little bit backed up this week because of that. So that's what's happening. So you might see a flood of videos all at once. So it'll be in the title of the video, whichever one this is, either week 3 or week 4. And today we're going to do something really fun and pretty simple. I've done some cards, and then I did some cute little Halloween pumpkin thingies for one of my videos. That was very technical. And so today I wanted to use our tens. These are the circle tens. Now, these are a little bit larger than I originally thought they were going to be when I first got them. So a couple of tips for you guys is, the first one is when you put the lid on, it does create like a suction sort of, so it's on there a little bit tighter. So you'll just want to know that. Then there's this part is see-through, and then don't put paper. If you're decorating this, you're not going to want to put the paper all the way up and force the lid on top of it because you won't be able to get it off. I have a 10 that I did that with. I just thought, oh, once it kind of slides over the paper, it'll be able to slide on and off, and that's not the case. This is a very tight fit. So we're going to be using one of these, and then we're going to be using the Itty Bitty Birthday, which sounds weird to be using it in this form, but I'm going to show you the sentiment we're going to use. And then we're going to do everything essential. And then that also, let me swap out my punch here. It coordinates with this punch, and I love it. I've used it a couple times. So let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that we're going to do is we're just going to take some of the designer paper, and I'm using the Magic in the Night. And so I'm going to use this orange piece, and then also this black and white floral piece, but you could use any of the pieces in here. And what I'm going to do is take my Stampin' Seal Plus, and I'm just going to put a few random, I'm not going to do the whole thing, but I'm just going to put some random pieces. And then what you'll do is just bring it onto your 10. So this piece is 3 3/4 of an inch, not 3 3/4. That would be way too big. And a 12-inch piece is going to wrap around pretty much perfect. The great thing is that on this 10, if you don't get things lined up perfectly that first time, your adhesive will probably pull off of the 10 with it being a metal surface. And then what I like to do is I just like to take a piece of tape, just Scotch tape, if I can find it. A lot of times Andrew steals it from my office. Oops, and I got some stamp on there. Whoops, I forgot that I did that. That's okay. I'll change it out before I take photos. So that will go perfectly around there. And then, like I said, don't put it so it gets under this 10. And then the next thing we have is I've just taken my largest stitched circle die, and I've cut it, and then I've cut it not quite in half. It's a little bit more than half. I wanted it a little bit larger, so I'm just taking some adhesive, and this part is nice and flat. There's no ridge or anything, so we're just going to lay that down starting at the bottom of the clear part down here. So we'll adhere that just like this. Now, a few other things we're going to do. I've taken some black glimmer paper, and I've cut a really small sliver, and then I've flagged the end of it. And then I've stamped Time to Celebrate in Cajun Craze, and that is from Itty Bitty Birthday. So I just want to encourage you guys to really look at your sentiments. Just because this is a birthday one doesn't mean we can't use it during the holidays. Cheers to you would work. It's sure to be a fun day. It's your day, time to celebrate. Let's celebrate you even could be on something like this that we're giving. So I've just stamped that and then I've trimmed it down and I've added a flag. The next thing I have is the spider web, and I'll put the name of the dies that this is on. This is actually on the owl die set. It's one of the die accessories, and I love it. I've been using it a lot. I think that gets missed. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do some coloring. I'm going to do some stamping and some coloring. So let's take our... pumpkin, which is right in front of me. I didn't even see it. And we're going to take some Memento Black ink. Now, because this has the mouth that is blacked out, I really want to get a good impression. So I'm really inking this up. And then I'm going to press it down. Make sure it is flat and pressed all the way down into the paper. And then I'll lift it up, and that got pretty good impression. And then what I want to do is just take my heat tool and make sure this is all dry because we're going to be using some blends. And that's pretty good. And then the blends I'm going to be using are going to be the light and dark of pumpkin pie, which are right here, and then the dark of Cajun craze. So let me show you how I'm going to color this. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my light pumpkin pie, and I'm going to put color all over. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in with my pumpkin pie, and we're going to give some shading to this. We're going to do it on the edges here. Anywhere that there's lines, we're going to bring in some of this darker pumpkin pie. And the thing is that it looks pretty messy. Here at the beginning. But it's not going to be at the end. So just here on the bottom, I think that pumpkins are one of the easiest things that you can, if you're learning to do these alcohol markers that have some blending and some different shading, this is one of the easiest images that you can do to kind of learn that. So next I'm going to take my light paper pumpkin and I'm going to come in. And you can see I'm just giving that another wash of color. I'm coming into the light, and I like to come into the dark part of the marker where I've colored, come into that dark part, and then pull it down. And this is where you could totally stop, but don't be afraid to mix your colors. This is pumpkin pie I'm using, but then I'm going to take the dark Cajun craze, and with the other side of the marker, so the finer tip, I'm going to come in and I'm going to come along those lines. Where those lines are going to be where naturally you're going to see some darker color. So I'm going to come up in here. You can use the other tip if you're more comfortable with it. I tend to be more comfortable with the brush tip and not the finer tip. But for this image, I just felt like it worked pretty well. Okay, and we'll come in here. Like so, bring some darker color. And then what we're gonna do is we'll go back with the light. And I'm just very much in the middle of this pumpkin, adding the color and saturating the paper. Then I'm going to come in with my dark paper pumpkin. paper pumpkin. Is that what I said? Pumpkin pie. I'm getting my things confused here. And I'm coming into that dark Cajun craze, and I'm again pulling that color up and blending that color in. And that's going to give you a really good depth of color. So what I've done is the next step is to take your punch and punch this out like so. And then let me show you how I finished this. All I did was poke a hole in my tag, and then I used some Cajun Craze twine that I had on hand, and I put a bow on that. So now let's put the rest of this together. So I can definitely use my Stampin' Seal, and it's a little bit wider, so just fold it over, just fold the extra over. And that is the Seal Plus. And then I'm gonna bring this down on the paper some, like so. And then I want this spider web to hang off of it. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of this seal right to the corner because we're gonna pop this whole thing up anyways. So I can just figure out where I want that, press it down. I think that's good enough. And then we're gonna take some dimensionals, and hopefully you can see this. I am gonna put these dimensionals kind of right, not kind of, just exactly right over that spider web, and that's gonna help them to hold that spider web down even more. So it's on there really well. And then we'll just peel these off. And then I'm going to let this hang off the edge. I'm gonna tilt it a little bit because since this isn't a card, it doesn't need to fit in an envelope, so we don't need to be confined. And then what I'm gonna do is, I think this is, tilt it a little too much. Go ahead and add maybe a dimensional. So I'm just gonna cut that in half. And that works to do half on there. And then we'll peel that off. And then we're just gonna add Time to Celebrate, just like that. And so there you have a really cute but quick treat in our tins. And you can leave this twine long so it kind of falls over there. And then I just love the spider web. And then the last thing you can do if you want is just take a glimmer brush, a Wink of Stella, and add a little bit of that glimmer right to that pumpkin, just like so. I love the way that came out. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today, and I will catch you guys next week.